Travis Wayne Goodsell. Fox 13 News Utah reported last night that the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is donating water to go to the Great Salt Lake. Our legislature couldn't figure out how to fix the problem that they themselves caused over the decades. As our snow this year still isn't going to be sufficient enough to repair the damage that was done with the drought. And if you're new to my channel, if you're living in your little bubble fantasy land about the church being true, you don't know your Book of Mormon, you don't know the words of Joseph Smith. You are brainwashed into believing you're Christian and that Jesus is your Christ, and that Joseph Smith was Christian and Jesus was his Christ. You are illiterate. 1 Nephi chapter 1 verse 2. The learning of the Jews, language of the Egyptians. And so that's not supposed to be just for the Book of Mormon. Because if that's the keystone of our religion, the learning of the Jews, it means you're supposed to apply the learning of the Jews to all of Joseph's scriptures. The Doctrine and Covenants, Pearl Gray Price. Which means Jesus is not our Christ. We are not Christian. This is a simple thing, but enrages Mormons to hate me and want to murder me. And because the church is lying to us, they can't be trusted. But I've also exposed that all of their donations are business transactions. The church makes money off of everything they do. And so it's not a donation because they retain the gift. The church is criminally in trouble with the SEC. The church is in trouble, if they would only do something about it, with the IRS. They are tax cheats, tax frauds, and in violation of the 501c3 tax exemption status. Because the SEC said they are. But the SEC is not the IRS. They're with the stock exchange. And the church also uses their money that they obtain through donations to commit crimes. As I'm a personal, first-hand witness and victim, that the church uses their money to pay hitmen or persons to murder. I know the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is false and is not Joseph's church. And you can get outraged all you want, but you will not get me to deny that Joseph Smith and the Book of Mormon are true as Jewish. You can go to hell, Mormons. And so this water deal is the same type of criminal operation. The church owns a lot of land in Utah. They do so because they want to restore their kingdom back from the United States. The government of Utah helps the church with anything and everything they want, even to the committing of crimes on their behalf. You know, like assassinations. And so this money, well, the water has to go towards, we're assuming, will come from the water that is used for the temples and other land that the church is involved with. It requires water. In 2019, there was a reporting about the church poisoning girls with the water at the girls' camp. And that was silenced with COVID. But nonetheless, the fact remains. Church poisons its members, its little girls. And so it's unclear as to where the water is coming from that the church is going to be donating. But there's some background history. The Great Salt Lake needs water for the kingdom. And with the legislature unable to fix the problem, the church is stepping in for their kingdom. They're going to establish Zion very soon. And they're going to need water. They can't have it become a postman of Kevin Costner. If you saw that movie. Oh, right, it's rated R. You didn't see that movie. I saw the movie. I caught on. And so the church needs water, but they're not going to pay for it. How are they not going to pay for it? Because there's what's called Mormons, and there's a lot of them in Utah, and they pay tithing. The water that the church pays for the land use, on the land use, is compensated by those who work at the various places that the church uses water. And I got a sneeze coming on. Oy vey. And tithing is given to the church from their paychecks. 10% for the rest of our lives in order to be a worthy Mormon. And there's extortion behind that, and there's a protection racket involved with that, as a couple of the crimes that are involved with tithing. The church cannot do good because they're lying to us. And so any attempts at charity are a cover for a criminal operation. This is what's called money laundering. See, the church is an illegal operation. Their use of water is through the purchase of criminal money. And that criminal money to purchase the water is now being given to the Great Salt Lake. It's being laundered. The water is being laundered. But the church is then taking the water donated, and all Mormons involved with any of the process of the operation receives tithing back. The church will make a profit off of this. See, the church no longer needs Mormons. They no longer need tithing. The interest alone from Ensign Peak Advisors for their tithing revenue surplus that's sent to Ensign Peak Advisors makes more in interest than Mormons put in tithing into that investment firm. Church no longer needs tithing, no longer needs Mormons. And so this is just an opportunity to make further money. Not too dissimilar from what they did at the shelter with the human trafficking of the homeless. Gail Miller. And after I exposed that, Gail Miller went missing as part of the board, and then I found her again. She is still in charge. I just removed her from the website. So, yeah, this is not charitable. This is a financial fraud that's going on. It's a crime. And the whole state of Utah, the government, Governor Cox, Mormon, is going along with the church with this. He is criminally complicit in this laundering operation, as is the legislature, as they all pay tithing to the church. And the Fox 13 News investigates failed to investigate this when it's blatantly obvious. See, they'll report that, the SEC fined the church. It's national public news. They have no choice but to cover it. But they can throw in people that say, well, this is just, it was a settlement and, this is no big deal. It is a big deal, even though the fine was 2 pennies if you convert it into our percentage, our regular payment percentage. Because $5 million for $500 billion, do the percentage. It's less than 1%. It's a joke to fine them just $5 million. So, everything that the church does is a crime. And all I do is expose it. And the church wants me dead for it. And Mormons want me dead for it, because how dare I violate your religious freedom to commit crimes and protect the church of the crimes under the penalty of death. If you're unfamiliar with the temple, just because they no longer do the death penalty doesn't mean it doesn't still remain. I'm Mormon, remember? I know all this.